Foreman, President of the Chicago Police Board, and I am calling the board's July 15th public meeting to order. To protect the public's health in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and as permitted by Governor Pritzker's executive orders 2020-07 and 2021-14, this meeting is taking place remotely. This meeting is open to the public via audio conference and is being carried live by CAN TV. Those participating by phone are on mute in order to reduce background noise and disruptions. We have a court reporter making a transcript of this meeting. I will begin by taking attendance so it is clear who is participating in this meeting. Please say here after I read your name. Police Board Vice President Paula Wolf.
I am here, but you gave away that you were not by being in a different time zone. It's really only 7:30.
Oh, yes.
So
Police Board Member Matthew Grau.
Here.
Police Board Member Michael Eady.
Here.
Police Board Member Steve Flores.
Here.
Board Member Jorge Montes. Jorge is definitely here.
He's here.
I'll come back to Jorge. Board Member Rhoda Sweeney.
Here.
Board Member Andrea Zopp.
here,
Superintendent David Brown. Let's see if we have audio. I can confirm that Superintendent is here. We're trying to fix some audio. Interim Chief Administrator of COPA, Andrea Kirsten.
Here.
Deputy Inspector General for Public Safety, Deborah Witzberg. I can confirm that she's here connecting to audio at this moment in time. Deputy Chief of the Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Internal Affairs, Michelle Rubino.
Here.
General Counsel to the Superintendent, Dana O'Malley.
Here.
Deputy Chief of the Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Patrol, Roberto Nieves. And Chief of Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Detectives, Brendan Dinahan. Executive Director of Police Board, Max Caproni.
Here.
And I see First Deputy Eric Carter. First Deputy Superintendent is having some audio difficulties, so I may ask you to step in and do the superintendent's report, if that's okay with you.
No problem.
Okay. We will now proceed to the items. And Deborah Witzberg, I just for the record, you were connecting to audio when I was calling your name. I just wanted to say good evening and confirm that you are in attendance.
Apologies. Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much.
and Jorge is back.
And Jorge Montes.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
No worries. We will now proceed to the items on the meeting agenda. We'll have time at the end of the meeting for public comments. Once again, those participating by phone are currently on mute in order to reduce background noise and disruptions. When we get to the public comment portion of the meeting, we will unmute each speaker. Is there a motion to approve the board's June 17th regular public meeting?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Is there a second?
Yes, second, Michael Eady.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Our next regular public meeting will be held Thursday, August 19th at 7:30 p.m. Whether this will be an in-person meeting or a remote meeting will be determined closer to the meeting date. Is there a motion to close a series of executive sessions for the purposes of considering personnel matters and litigation as authorized by sections 2C, 1, 3, 4, and 11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Michael Eady.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Next up, we have a special guest, our former colleague, and now he's the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, John O'Malley. John, you need no introduction for the normal audience, but can you please tell us about this new role that you're serving in and some of the public safety initiatives that you're working on?
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Foreman. I almost said aye on both your motions. Out of muscle memory. I literally reached for the mute button. So thank you for having me. I'm John O'Malley. I am currently serving Mayor Lightfoot's administration as the deputy mayor for public safety, and served along these fine men and women of the Chicago Police Board for about 5 years prior to this position. So I am honored to speak as the guest speaker for the board. Gian Foreman and Vice President Paula Wolf and the rest of the board, about 2 years or so ago, under Gian's direction, we decided to bring in guest speakers to talk to the public and kind of speak about what's being done outside just police board business. So I am honored and privileged to be tonight's guest speaker. And I want to say to all my colleagues, I try not to tear up because I truly miss being a member of the police board, but I'm serving in another capacity for the city of Chicago. So I just wanted to speak on behalf of what is the deputy mayor of public safety, and what is that role? I look at that role as the liaison between the mayor's office and the mayor herself, and all the public safety agencies that are in the city of Chicago. That is, of course, the Chicago Police Department, the men and women of the Chicago Fire Department, COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, OEMC, our 911 center, our emergency management control center, the Chicago Police Board, my former colleagues, etc. I look at my role as the liaison between the mayor herself, the mayor's office, her chief of staff, her senior staff, and those agencies. I have a very good relationship. Let me explain. I've been there about 60 days. I've maintained or have introduced myself to many of the leadership of those agencies I just spoke of. And I look at my job as being that interpreter to what's happening with those agencies and the mayor's office, and really being a advocate for those agencies and a partner with those agencies. First Deputy Eric Carter is on the line. I think the soup is on the line. First Deputy Eric Carter can attest on conversations we've had about police work in particular. As a matter of fact, just this evening, we had an honest and open conversation. So prior to my arrival at the mayor's office, the mayor's office of public safety developed what's called Our City, Our Safety, sort of a 5-pronged approach of looking at what can the city of Chicago and the mayor's office specifically do to help safety as a whole in the city of Chicago. Those elements are empowering and healing people. How do we empower people in the neighborhoods, and how do we help them heal from violence? So a lot of programs that have been put in place are either in place now or are in the process of being put into place. Protecting and securing the city of Chicago. Obviously, protecting and securing the city is a law enforcement function. We look at that as a more of a police role. How do we protect our people? How do we secure the city of Chicago? Not an easy task, as one would think. Chicago is a very large city. How do we look at how do we protect the city as best we can, not only from downtown, but all the way out to the neighborhoods? Approving and advancing policing. That is a focus of my small office of about myself and a staff of about 8 people, working with the Chicago Police Department and making sure that they are aware of and in line with best practices across the country, sometimes across the globe. What are European police departments? What are they doing in France? What are they doing in London? What are they doing in Mexico City to protect their people and advance policing? As many of you may have seen just in the press in the last 48 hours or so, we are instituting the largest police department in the country, I might add, instituting and implementing a program where if you have a drug issue, if you are, or your roommate or your spouse or your sister or your brother are experiencing an overdose and drug episode, and you call 911, this evening, Chicago Police Department would respond to that call automatically. We are instituting a program where we will have clinicians attend, and the fire department attend, and the police being in the background of that call. If there is someone's safety is at risk, the police, of course, will intervene. There's a pilot program. It's kicking off in August. We are piloting in just two districts that normally have a high call volume of these drug overdose calls. We've targeted those districts, pilot that program. The hope is to relieve the police to do more police work and not tie them up on a call that person may need some counseling, some medical care, and not necessarily going to a lockup or going to the hospital in handcuffs, but more getting those people help. We are looking to expand that to alcohol treatment, to a traffic accident where I bump into the back of President Foreman's car and there's really no physical damage to our well-being, but I busted out his taillight. Do I really need a beat car tied up for 3 hours to handle that traffic accident? I think everyone on this call would agree, most likely not. So looking at almost like a lot of the suburbs have what we call community service officers or traffic enforcement officers. So looking at those programs to free up the police to do what we would think is police work. So that's coming to a theater near you, so to speak. Okay, so that's something that my office, under the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, is looking forward to. How do we resource and give the police back some resources that they need to respond to the violence that's happening in some of our neighborhoods? Planning and coordinating, helping the police department coordinate with other city agencies. First deputy can attest, superintendent can attest. We are at the forefront in the city of Chicago of involving streets and sanitation, the water department, the public libraries, the park district, BACP, which is the business who hands out the business licensing to certain businesses. We are all hands on deck approach to looking at public safety. One would say, well, what does the water department have to do with public safety? How is the water department making me safer? Well, the police department may say, hey, listen, there's drug dealing going on in the corner of Springfield, Chicago Avenue. If I light that area up, literally spotlights, those people dealing with drugs will dissipate. So if a water pipe breaks at State and Madison, the water department will come out with equipment. And what do they bring? Again, if it's 10 o'clock at night.
Bright lights.
So the water department will say, well, we actually have 4 units of light trucks that we can help you with. Please bring them to us. Give those to Deputy Chief Ernie Cato on the west side to help deter crime from happening at this corner of Madison Plaza. So looking at thinking outside the box. Superintendent Brown, First Deputy Eric Carter cannot do this alone, folks. Newsflash. They need our help. Well, what does the public library have to do with public safety? Well, how about we open up the library on the south and west side, extended hours, Saturday till 10 o'clock, so the kids have somewhere to go, and we hold an event at the library, right? Or they sit down and talk to the librarian. How do I get involved in science? How do I get involved in math? Those libraries are extending their hours. Or if the library needs a fresh coat of paint, guess what I do? We call the Chicago Painters Union. Get them to come out and volunteer their time and paint that library on a Saturday or Sunday to make that library look presentable. So all those things. And I'll leave, in addition to that, what we did was looked at data over the last 4 or 5 years of crime. We identified what we call 4 zones. And inside those 4 zones are 15 beats. And we focus a lot of resources on those 4 zones and those 15 beats. And we're 13 weeks into it. And let me tell you what districts those beats, those zones consist of. On the west side, the 10th district and the 11th district. To the south, it's the 4th, 5th, and 6th district. It's been fairly successful. I know it's successful because guess who's calling? The aldermen, the residents of the 7th district, of the 2nd district, of the 15th district. How do we become part of the zone, right? We just started this. So I look at, what do we do in 2022? Do we go to 4 zones and 30 beats? Do we go to 8 zones and 60 beats? Where are we going to take this program? We have to first prove that it's successful. And I don't want to jinx it, but halfway in, we're showing what traditionally was murders, shootings in those 4 zone and those 15 beats decrease. And again, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but we're on a path to prove our methodology. We host meetings every Thursday and Friday with those zones, with those beats. That includes CPD, that includes streets and sanitation, that includes the libraries, the parks, water department, BACP, you name it, fire department. Everybody is on those calls, and the community, faith leaders, street outreach workers. Everybody is on those calls. And we'll say, last week, there was a problem in this beat on this street corner. Let's address it. Let's give them some resources. So that's where we are at. I understand that murders and shootings continue in the city of Chicago at a pace that nobody on this call, nobody in the city of Chicago, nobody in the country wants to see. But you got to give us a chance. We are working at it diligently. I am still in my car. It is 7:45 at night. I got to work this morning at 7 a.m. I'm working hard. Eric Carter is working hard. Superintendent Brown is working hard. Nobody, I would attest, works harder than Ernie Cato, the deputy chief of Area 4. I told him the other night, I said, Ernie, if you divide your hours by what you get paid, I think you're making $1.16 an hour, right? Like we are at it, and I get it. People on this call, people in the community may say it's not making a difference because my neighborhood is such and such and such and such. We're trying, folks. I've only been there 60 days, but I'm seeing at the ground level, people are working hard. Nobody's phoning it in. We're working. We're trying. This is not a police only problem. This is a city problem. I just was at a meeting today with BOMA, B-O-M-A, the Building Owners Management Association, who represents all the building owners downtown Chicago. They're yelling at me about the crime in downtown Chicago. I told them, y'all need to get in your car and go to Gresham, Austin, Lawndale, Inglewood, Roseland. Don't come to me yelling at me about the crime downtown. I'm sorry that Susie, who lives in Lisle, thinks she's afraid to come downtown because the last 18 months she's been working in her pajamas from home. We're working downtown. The police are downtown. What is your building security doing to ensure the safety of your employees as they return downtown? What is your building security doing to ensure the safety of your tenants as they return downtown? Have you called Metra? Have you called CTA? Say, what are you doing to ensure the safety of my people returning to work? Don't point your fingers at the Chicago Police Department. They're doing what they need to do. We are out there. So you got to help us. Help me, help you. I can't call the first deputy and say, put more police officers downtown. There's 30% occupancy downtown. Maybe 50% is what I was just told after Labor Day. Maybe 70% January of 2022. So you need to help me, help you. But everyone needs to participate, right? So that is, in a nutshell, what I am focusing on. I look at the police department, the fire department, COPA, the board, OEMC as what I told my team was they are our customers. We are the public safety officer, the mayor, those agencies out there doing the dirty work, doing the day-to-day work. Those are our customers. How do we help them succeed? So that is my spiel. President Foreman, Vice President Wolf, former colleagues of the police board. That's where we're at. We are working hard. I can't stress it enough. I see it firsthand every morning, every evening. So that's my spiel.
Thank you, John.
Thank
We
you,
look-
John.
We appreciate it. That's a good explanation. Definitely provides a little bit of clarity in terms of what that position is. We certainly look forward to interacting with you and seeing what we can do to ensure that that all of these pieces are working well together. So thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you.
John.
You too.
A report of disciplinary actions taken by the board during the previous month has been made available on the board's website. There is one police disciplinary case on the agenda this evening. The police board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has considered in a closed meeting one police disciplinary case. The board will now take final action on this case. Regarding case number 20PB2978, is there a motion to find police officer Jamie Jawar guilty of charges stemming from a vehicle pursuit and to discharge her from the Chicago Police Department?
So moved, Michael Eady.
Is there a second?
Second, Andrea Zopp.
I will now call on the board members for their votes. Crowell,
Aye.
Edie,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Montez,
Aye.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Zopp,
Aye.
and I vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are board members Crowell, Edie, Flores, Montez, Sweeney, Zopp, and myself. Vice President Wolf recused herself from this case as required by the municipal code. The motion passes by a vote of 7-0. Is there a motion to adopt the written findings and decision that have been reviewed by all board members who participated in the case?
So moved, Michael Eady.
Second, Andrea Zopp.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. The written decision in this case will be entered as of today's date and sent to the parties and then posted on the board's website. There's one additional disciplinary matter on the agenda tonight. Board member Matthew Crowell will make this announcement.
Thank you, President Foreman. Pursuant to section 278130 of the Municipal Code of Chicago, I considered one matter on which the Chief Administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability and the Superintendent of Police did not agree regarding the discipline of two officers. The COPA investigation stems from an incident involving several Chicago police officers and Harith Augustus on July 14th of 2018, during which Mr. Augustus was fatally shot by a Chicago police officer. Following the conclusion of the investigation, the Chief Administrator issued recommendations for discipline of 8 officers. The Superintendent of Police proposed less severe discipline than that recommended by the Chief Administrator for 2 of those officers. In requests for review, numbers 21-12 and 13, Chief Administrator Kirsten recommended that Police Officer Megan Fleming be suspended for 90 days for stopping and making physical contact with Mr. Augustus without justification, for failing to activate her body-worn camera, and for discussing the officer-involved shooting with another officer. The Chief Administrator recommended that Lieutenant Davina Ward be suspended for 30 days for failing to separate involved officers and failing to ensure that they did not communicate with each other regarding the officer-involved shooting. Superintendent Brown recommended a 10-day suspension for Officer Fleming and a reprimand for Lieutenant Ward. After considering this matter, it's my opinion that the superintendent did not meet the burden of overcoming the Chief Administrator's recommendations for discipline. Therefore, the Chief Administrator's recommendations will be deemed accepted by the superintendent. And a copy of the written opinion will be posted on the board's website as required by the municipal code. And that's my report, President Foreman.
Thank you, Matt. Earlier this evening, the board, as required by the Illinois Open Meetings Act, met and considered minutes and recordings of all past closed meetings to determine whether the need for confidentiality still exists. The board members unanimously agreed that it continues to be necessary to keep confidential the minutes and recordings of its past closed meetings. However, beginning with the closed meeting minutes approved for this month and going forward, the board members unanimously agreed to make available to the public portions of these minutes by posting them on the board's website. The general orders and other directives issued by the superintendent during the previous month are posted on the police department's website. Superintendent Brown, I'll now ask you for your oral report. You're on mute. You're on mute. Nope. No. First Deputy, would you want to?
Just give him a second. I know he has his, there he is.
No, we're having the audio challenges. Go ahead
There he
first.
is.
Go ahead first.
All right. Well, statement from the superintendent is yesterday the department experienced the heartbreaking loss of one of our police officers to an apparent suicide. As his family, friends, and fellow CPD officers mourn, we're asking that the city help carry that grief by keeping them in your thoughts and prayers. We strongly encourage all of our officers to utilize professional counseling division expertise available through the Employee Assistance Program. Officer wellness is the superintendent's top priority, as well as everyone who's under his charge. On July 10th, we announced the identification and arrest in San Diego, California, the day after an offender who was responsible for the execution-style murder of a young father on June 19th in Humboldt Park. That was a collaboration between the federal U.S. Marshals and Chicago Police Department Detective Division. On Monday, Superintendent met with President Biden at the White House and other local and federal law enforcement leaders in order to create solutions to reducing nationwide gun crime violence. Here in Chicago, we're forming a gun investigations team, firearms tracking task force with the ATF to make our communities safer by identifying and apprehending those who are bringing guns into our city and driving the violence in our neighborhoods. The current homicide clearance rate is 49.49%. So far this year, we have cleared 193 murders. And as of this morning, CPD officers have recovered 6,472 guns since the beginning of the year. That's a 25.4% increase over the same period in 2020. As you all know, each gun recovery is a potential deadly force encounter. And so far in 2021, 35 CPD officers have been shot at or shot. 9 of those officers have been actually struck by gunfire. We cannot be successful without the trust and goodwill of the community, and we really appreciate the collaboration that we have received throughout the neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. And to that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, First Deputy. Next, Chief Administrator Kirsten, would you like to give your oral report, please?
Yes, thank you, President Foreman. For the month of June, COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, received 459 new complaints and notifications of alleged police misconduct. 96 of those were under COPA's jurisdiction, and of those 96, 20% involved allegations of improper search or seizure, so Fourth Amendment allegations. In the month of June, we received 2 different officer-involved shooting notifications, and also we closed approximately 88 investigations. Within that 88 cases that were closed, 5 of them were concluded officer-involved shooting investigations. And of the cases that had allegations, 74% of those cases involved sustained allegations. In addition to our investigatory caseload, COPA also released 2 different separate transparency packages, video releases under the city's transparency policy, involving 2 different officer-involved shootings. And then we were out and present in the community as well, participating in a junior achievement career day at John Garvey Elementary School. So in addition to our investigative work, our ongoing transparency and community engagement efforts, something else I wanted to highlight this month is the ongoing Policy and Research and Analysis Division unit within COPA and the work that that unit is doing. So last year, under our prior chief administrator, we stood up this department within our agency, Policy Research and Analysis Division, PRAD for short, because COPA loves a good acronym. And that unit is led by Deputy Chief Jay Westonsey. And under our jurisdiction, under our ordinance, COPA has the ability to make recommendations back to the Chicago Police Department involving, policy or other sorts of feedback. And what is so unique about COPA is that based on our jurisdiction to investigate allegations of misconduct, we often have kind of a front row seat to some of the stuff that is going on and that the department needs to be made aware of. So having a dedicated unit to take the feedback and the information and the anecdotal information we're learning from these investigations and turn them into more of a research and data-driven study is a really key component to our success as an agency. And so I highlight the work of PRAD specifically in this month's update to notify the public that on our website, we're trying to provide more of a window into the work that that unit has been doing. So right on the front of our website, you can click on the PRAD tab in order to go and see some of the different recommendations, advisory letters, and other correspondences that we've shared with the Chicago Police Department. And that's at COPA's website, which is chicagocopa.org. And our most recent PRAD submission involves something that was born right out of an investigation. It was a Fourth Amendment investigation into a search warrant that took place that was executed by the SWAT team. And it led to, although the outcome of that misconduct investigation ultimately didn't result in sustained allegations, what that investigation did result in was our ability to make some recommendations about some modifications to some of SWAT's processes and procedures, particularly around record keeping and how that might inform the department going forward. And I think what's really important for the public to understand, if you choose to take the time to look at some of this information, is not only is COPA making recommendations, but CPD is engaging with us. They respond in writing, they listen to what we're saying, and you can see that dialogue that takes place between the department and this agency when we're all working towards the same goal, which is ultimately better accountability and better community trust. So those are my updates for this month, and thank you for the opportunity to share them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can confirm we have also been getting, from these meetings when we have speakers, that we have been getting in writing feedback from the CPD's interaction with the people who've been speaking. And so hopefully it's having a positive impact in the community. We continue to hear from some of those community members. I've been hearing a lot from the 3rd and the 6th district specifically about some of the things that they've been doing in community. So definitely keep up the good work. In terms of this community interaction, we know that there's a lot more work, and as John O'Malley said, it takes everyone to be a part of it. I will now call upon members of the public who signed up in advance to speak. Our first speaker, Jacques Stefanik. And Max, what should they press to unmute?
So speakers on the phone may press *6, *6, and that will unmute them.
Jacques Stefanik. Next speaker, Jennifer Edwards. Jennifer Edwards, if you can unmute. I'll come back, Jennifer. Next speaker, Dr. Mark Robinson.
Yes, good. Yes, good evening.
Okay.
How are you? I'm speaking for, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm Reverend Dr. Mark A. Robertson. I'm speaking in behalf of Eunice Catman in her absence. So I'm reading her words. Good evening. I want to thank you for your genuine concern, the issues plaguing our community. However, the repeated continuation of these issues by outside agitators are not the residents of Chatham. It's a persistent problem. Regardless of the repeated efforts of the Everhart 79ers Block Club members and others, and our numerous 9/11 calls, number one. Family Fresh Market, located on 457 East 79th Street, is still a blight in our neighborhood. It habitually fails to exhibit good business practices. Every day this week, the loiterers were standing outside the store and on the corner outside the store. Inclement weather does not deter them. The business owner has a sign, no trespassing affidavit, and displays a no trespassing signs. And there's supposed to be personal security inside the store. But he continues to harbor these miscreants, a few of them that live in our neighborhood and promote illegal activities. Number two, we've had several business walks along 79th corridor and King Drive to the Cottage Grove on both sides of 79th. One was held in March and the other in April, conducting community residents that included the CAL, Communities Organized to Win, the Everhart Block Club, the 6th District Sergeant, Monica Hughes, and members of her CAPS team, representatives from BACP, Cook County Sheriff's Department, and other concerned Chatham area residents. The purpose of the community walk was to introduce the business along 79th Street and inform them of the city ordinances restricting covering the windows, and to be sure that they were aware of the sign of no trespassing affidavit. Family Fresh Market was visited twice in March and April. Lastly, we have also been informed that a drug prostitution ring operating out of the building of 440 through 442 East 80th between Vernon and Everhart. Previously, there was a police raid conducted there. Somehow the perpetrators found out and left, so nothing nor anyone was found on the premises. However, a neighbor told Eunice after the police left that the perpetrators returned. We seem to be fighting I'm done right now. We seem to be fighting a losing battle. We won't give up, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jennifer Edwards.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is another appeal for more police officers, equipment, and police cars in our districts, specifically the 6th and 3rd districts. We are thankful for our new DCO officers and hope they can assist our current beat and CAPS officers. In the community conversations of the past, we heard recurring requests for officers to patrol the alleys and walk the block. This is very much needed on 79th Street from King Drive to Maryland Avenue, with special attention to Cottage Grove. I want to call attention to OEMC 911 calls. Community members participating in CAPS meetings are told that calls for service are important, but that calls are not being made. It has been reported to our community group that community members must call numerous times to get the police to come out. So we participate in phone tree calling to 911 regarding incidents. So we are making numerous phone calls. It is also being reported that 911 operators are telling callers to hurry up. We're calling too much. Our purpose for calling is low priority. And when asked for an event number, as instructed by CAP, an ID or ID of the 911 caller, we are not given that information. Only after calling back and asking for a supervisor are we given information. I'm not sure, but if the lack of 911 calls attributes to the allocation of police officers, equipment, and police cars, we have a problem. Can we request a meeting with Richard Gaitis, Director of OEMC, or your suggestion to help in this matter, please? Superintendent Brown, I have also connected with the Area 2 person that helps in your scheduling. I'm hoping that you will be available for our backyard conversation at one of those August dates. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer, one of the things that we heard tonight from Deputy Mayor O'Malley is that a part of his role is ensuring that there is coordination. So perhaps I can connect Communities Organized to Win with Deputy Mayor O'Malley's office and to see if there's something that we can do. So I will ask Max to follow up with you on that. Next.
Okay, we have connected with him and we are planning a meeting.
Okay.
We're also on the Zone 3 calls every week. So
Okay.
we're trying to do what we can do, but thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Matt Brandon. And I don't see Matt on the call. Next speaker, Betty Morris.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from the Colonial Village. The CAP number is 523. I'm calling about 129th Place from Normal to Eggleston, Union. We're having so much trouble here with the speeding. They're coming down. Children are playing, and we're having a problem because we do not want our kids to be hurt. So is there something that you guys can do to help us out with this problem?
First Deputy, is there a recommendation, someone we should connect Miss Morris to?
Yes, just we'll have her give the information, and I'll have somebody contact her that will take care of the entire issue, whether through the CAPS office under Angel Navalis or through.
We had a CAP meeting yesterday, and as we were having the CAP meeting yesterday, the guy came by speeding and throwed up a gang sign to us, and then
No,
he
ma'am,
came
I'm just
back
saying,
on a.
Just
Go ahead.
If you would just give your information, and I will have somebody contact you, not from the CAPS office directly, but they will help you with that information. I'll take care of your issue.
Okay, that'll be very nice of you to do that. So you have my number where you can call.
We will. Our office will ensure that First Deputy's office gets your contact information, and we'll coordinate.
Okay. Thank you so much, because we really need your help. I don't want to see any of the children that are playing now that are out of school to get hurt. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker, Francis Williams.
Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Again, my name is Francis Williams. I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak. I, too, like Ms. Morris, am from the 129th Street. I live in between Wallace and Parnell. And I was calling to say that I have reached out to our alderman. We are a split district over here. So we're Kerry Austin, and we are Anthony Beal. I have personally tried to talk to both aldermen's office, filled out paperwork to try to get speed humps. I'm getting the runaround, and they are. It is ridiculous over here on how they speed up and down the block. The neighbor next door to me, her grandson was killed by a driver a couple of years ago. So anyway, as Ms. Moore stated, because I'm just kind of repeating, we had our CAPS meeting on 129th and Parnell. Some young gentleman, I say that loosely, came by on an ATV, throwing up gang signs. CAPS, they said, well, do you all want us to stop the meeting or go chase him? That's what we were told during the meeting. I'm like, well, this happens all night long. And then on 129th in Union, we have called multiple times for the men that hang out there, drinking, selling drugs, doing everything. We just want some help over here. It's desperately needed. And I understand, and I commend you all the officers that are on the call, for the great work that you all do and the service and the sacrifice that you do every day. It's appreciated. But we need help over here on the 129th place. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And if somebody can get back with me, it'll be great.
Thank you. We'll pass your information along as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all so much.
Our next speaker, Linda Hudson. If you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Linda Hudson. For the past 3 years, my block has had issues with two neighbors who live next door to each other, and they enjoy fireworks. not just firecrackers, but the type of fireworks you see at Navy Pier, the type that cause windows to rattle and our dogs to panic. The entire block is disrupted. The first year, we as a block club had a discussion with the neighbors, and they apologized, and we thought the problem was resolved. It happened again the next year, and the conversation was not as subtle. This year, I simply called the police, and a car came and basically did a drive-by, and the fireworks continued. I called the police again and asked for the name of the officers who did the drive-by, and I was transferred to the 4th District, where a female officer told me that she did not know the names of the officers. Pretty dismissive about my concerns about my home, and she told me there's nothing she could do about fireworks, and she hung up on me. I got in my car and I made my way to the 4th District Station and had a conversation with Sergeant Poston, and was told the female officer thought that there was a long pause. She thought the conversation was over. In reality, I was in shock that the officer was telling me there's nothing she can do about illegal activity. I get it. July 4th is a busy day. You're understaffed, you're overworked, but a car came and did a drive-by. A car came and could have stopped the activity. The next morning, the block is a mess, debris is all over the place. I'm very concerned about my home, my neighbors' homes. I'm concerned about the fact that a minor child was involved in this activity of putting fireworks in a glass bottle while the adults watch. Yes, I have adequate homeowners insurance, but there are certain things that cannot be replaced. Our homes are just too close for this type of activity. If fireworks are truly illegal, why isn't something being done about it? I ask you, what do we do as a block?
First Deputy.
Ma'am, I'll have somebody contact you, but for the fireworks, that is something that we continually face as a challenge, especially a month leading up to the 4th of July. But I will contact you and we'll work out a solution.
We will make sure to pass your information along. Our next speaker is Annette Kane.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Annette Kane. I am the president of United Neighbors of Colonial Village. I would like to piggyback on Ms. Morris and Ms. Williams. We have had for over 2 years, I must say, and we have been complaining for over 2 years regarding the speeding in our community, and it's really all the way from 125th to 129th place. And it's excessive. They're doing donuts in the intersections of the streets. They're running the stop signs. They're going around the traffic circles like, they're speeding around them. So they're, and also we've been complaining for over 2 years regarding the drug dealing that's on 129th place and Union. And I know it shouldn't take this long for them to take care of the problem that we've been having in our community. We did have a CAPS meeting on yesterday, and we look forward to having more meetings outdoors in our community. So we just would like some assistance. We keep getting, as far as I'm concerned, they're excuses. They tell us if we see something, say something. But when we do say something, all we get is excuses and why they can't do this. We can't chase anyone. We can't do this. So I'm just looking at, what do we do? We're trying to work with the Chicago Police Department. So we need to know what can we do and what can you all do to help us in our community.
So the first deputy is committed to make sure someone contacts you all. So hopefully next month we want to invite all of you all to come back and hopefully we can see some progress. Thank you very much. Our next speaker, Flora Suttle.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to ask for just a couple of extra seconds at the end of my talk so that I can ask the questions for FOP. I'm a retired member of FOP. It won't take long, just a few seconds, and they can answer that at the next meeting, if you don't mind. I'll begin to talk now.
Yeah,
My
well-
name is Flora Tuttle. My son, Derek Tuttle, was killed on February 11th, 2012 by an off-duty mailback police officer. Since December 2nd, 2016, I've been speaking with COPA to try to get Derek's case reopened. I got nowhere with COPA until about 3 months ago, about April, when the former COPA chief administrator quit. And we got an interim chief of COPA, Andrea Kirsten. She said on record that my case is a priority. And she reached out to the family as she promised. She has shown us respect. She has shown us consideration. And she explained to us her job, what she could do and what she couldn't do. The laws, the statutes, the contracts, many of which I knew. And we spoke with them yesterday. They made their decision based on my son's case. The family, they let us know ahead of time. It may not be what we wanted, but based on the explanation and the time limit over 5 years, no fault of ours, they made their decision. Okay, that's it. Then before that, we asked Deborah Weisberg to look into why it was taking so long. She is the Inspector General for Public Safety. And Deborah Weisberg was one who reached out to COPA to initiate this entire process. Deborah Weisberg, again, professional, timely, integrity, you name it, both of these ladies have done their job. Deborah Weisberg and I spoke with today. I met with COPA yesterday, and my family will be meeting with Deborah Weisberg, about her investigation. And the family also met with Kim Crump.
Ms. Suttle, I'm sorry, you're at your 2 minutes. Ms. Suttle, you have my contact information. Why don't you give me a call regarding the FOP statement, and I'll make sure that I can get someone to answer that for next month.
Okay, the only thing that I just want to say is that we are following the process for reopening a case. There is a process, a legal process, and a policy process. And after we meet with Ms. Weisberg, we may have more information for you at the next meeting. And thank you for your time. We're pursuing a criminal case on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker, John Perryman.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Evening. Hi, so I'm here to again ask about the drug market at Lake and St. Louis. Are there any updates for any activity over there?
First Deputy.
Mr. Perryman, I know you were contacted by Deputy Chief O'Shea. I know he offered solutions to work with you, but I don't have his complete report in front of me, but I do know he spoke to you on the phone at length about this, and I'll get that back through to you and recontact you with the finding of that report.
Okay, and one other thing, and everyone who's been listening to these things know that I've been bringing this up for probably a year and a couple months now. 2 months ago, the superintendent said, he said, and I will quote, he goes, again, we can always do more, but you're likely one of the few areas on the west side that's had 0 shootings and 0 homicides and no robberies within the last 30 days. So 3 people were shot this month at St. Louis and Lake, that exact location. Does that mean, per what the superintendent said, we'll get more resources now?
You know, we don't have the ability to answer that on this call right now. And you know that there's shootings.
Well, the superintendent said, one of the reasons they weren't helping us.
Mr. Perryman.
Yeah.
We see we're at record.
I mean, they were waiting for people to get shot. They got shot. So now I expect the help that he wouldn't give us before.
Right. Mr. Perryman, I think that we're trying to find solutions all over the city. Everybody wants additional resources, and so I don't know that you're going to get that answer on this call right now. So
Can I get that answer from the superintendent? It's exactly what he said. He was saying and bragging about how there were 0 shootings. And I said, yet. And so it happened. There was three shootings in one night on that exact corner. And I would like to know how their strategies are going to change now that that's happened. Is that too much to ask for from the superintendent or someone from his office?
Yeah, well, he just said that someone just contacted you. You had conversation. So
yeah, they contacted me once and then never got back to me. They said they were going to do things. Then they went on vacation. So what happens is you guys say stuff here. They call once, say they'll do things, and then don't follow through for like another couple of weeks. And this is a new issue. I brought it up. We're still not getting action. The lag is creating violence. So I would like to know from the superintendent's office how their strategies are now going to change, because the superintendent said one of the reasons they weren't helping us as much is because there was no.
First Deputy, do you have an
Yes,
answer?
sir. Mr. Perryman, as I said, I will contact you with Deputy Chief O'Shea's report, but what you're stating is not what is in that report. He contacted you numerous times, at which time there seemed to have, I won't get into it, but disagreement.
Once
No,
he
sir.
contacted.
No, sir. Sir, I'm not here to mince words with you or argue with you, but I said I will
Once he contacted
you.
me.
I will contact you with his report in hand and read it to you verbatim, and we can talk about it then.
All right.
Okay, that's fine. I want to add a specific question.
Thank you, Mr. Perryman. Your time is up. Our next speaker is Robert Moore.
Okay, my period's starting. This is what I've got to say. On the 6th of June of 1941, Pope Pius XII, his address at Pentecost, the inversion of means and ends by which the value of an ultimate end is conferred upon that which merely constitutes the means for accomplishing it, and by which human beings are reduced to mere means to ends, engenders unjust social structures and renders Christian conduct in keeping with the commandment of the divine lawgiver difficult and all but impossible. This is the nightmare that now what I'm concerned about is innocence, regeneracy, and posterity, because that's what the 2 Thessalonians avenging fire is concerned about. And I've got to convey that trusting any nominal government entity so controlled by the Committee of 300 constitutes a death warrant. There is no evidentiary basis in regard to which Robert J. Moore is cognizant upon which reliance could rationally be predicated that it could ever reasonably be expected that any given component of the activity of any committee of the 300 controlled nominal government entity would result in the adequate accommodation of reliance interests ever an issue in any given instance whose legitimacy could not rationally be disputed. The City of Chicago Police Department, the City of Chicago are such type entities. Children, you've got to understand. This is not to protect and serve you. It's to move incrementally to your enslavement and extermination for the children that are born into non-Jewish parents. You've got to understand this. In the City of Chicago, we've got to get to the point of solving crime, preventing crime without. Get rid of the police. Don't provide evidence. Don't provide information. Provide it to the Institute of St. Michael the Archangel. Won't do what's necessary to investigate and prosecute and get convictions, rather than being at the mercy of this abomination of the Lord, which is what it is. What is the basis for the supervisor, the superintendent absent, or is the superintendent present? If he's not present, what's the justification for his absence?
The superintendent is present. The justification for him not being on audio is Zoom. We could take that up.
Okay, I'm not sure what it's okay in his situation. I'm asking him, how could he have gone to a tyrant by usurpation, Biden, given the mountains of evidence that the election was stolen? How could he?
I'm sorry, Mr. Moore, that's outside of our scope. And at this point in time, all members of the public who signed up to speak have been called. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Paula Wolf.
Second, Michael Eady.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion passes and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe.